Chair.
You know, once the threat involves food, as a lawyer, I will capitulate. So I think we can proceed.
You can see Sifuna has just become docile when he had the part of the food.
Yeah, if it's food, Sifuna is very sympathetic. Members, because we are eating into the time we need for consideration, Senator Methu, finally.
Just a quick observation as the area senator. First, I'm very happy that now Nyandarua will join the league of those who are growing coffee. But I think, my personal opinion, I'm not the governor for Nyandarua. So therefore, in terms of implementation of projects, it's a reserve of you, governor. But for the benefit of the people of Nyandarua, we must then build consistency in terms of the projects that we prioritize and the projects that we introduce, because like this coffee growing, as you have correctly put it, is a new, it's a new endeavor that we are getting into. We have spent 3 years of our time, and we started with Super Napier. Quickly after we came to apples, and now we are at coffee growing. I think, and I would want to insist, for us to ensure that we maximize in terms of agribusiness, because that is where you are going, let us get consistency. If we choose the route of Super Napier, let us push it to the last minute. If we get to apple growing, let us push it to the last minute. Finally, Chair, it is my very, very personal considered opinion that we must take advantage of institutions, because there are many institutions that can help us with research, so that we don't start projects that have not been well researched. I'm not saying that you have not done research on coffee. I'm not saying that you have not done research on anything. But before we start spending money, public money, we must invest in research, so that we now give farmers and we sensitize them and we start coffee growing when we are certain that it will do well in Nyandarua. That is just a comment in passing. It is not part of...
Thank you, Senator. We will link your comments to the report here. There's the issue of KIPES, which is supposed to be the aggregator for all the farm produce. So we'll see to what extent you have gone to establish the aggregation and industrial parks, and test whether your ambitions match your action on the ground. So let's go to the report. I think we shall consider your request, but depending on how fast you respond to us. Let's first understand the environment. The County Assembly, the member of the County Assembly, have you considered this report that is before the Senate? Just move to the center.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to confirm that we are in the process of considering the report. The report was received on 6th of Jan this year, 2026, in the Assembly, when the Assembly was already in recess. However, we did have a special sitting of the Assembly on 21st Jan 2026, where the report was tabled in the Assembly. After that, we retreated to look at the report because there are quite a number. After reviewing the reports, we drafted the letters inviting the members of the executive to appear before the committee. I can confirm the letters were sent on 28th of Jan 2026, and they are supposed to appear before the committee on 12th February.
So it's still work in progress?
Yes.
Okay, fine. We encourage you to push so that as the primary oversight institution, you are also able to table your report within the constitutional timelines. Do we have the chair of the audit committee within this delegation? I think I heard that internal, did I hear internal auditor being introduced? The internal auditor is here. Is there anyone from the audit committee in the delegation, Governor?
No.
Why so? And yet, I thought that there were very strong interfaces between what your internal audit does and what the external audit does. The OAG is an external auditor. Your internal auditor reports to the audit committee, And so when you're coming to the Senate, it's important that we also get some perspectives from your audit committee. Has it been established?
The one which was there expired, and we are at the tail end of instituting the new one. So in the few days to come, it will be ready.
So you have no audit committee as we speak?
The other one expired. We are
When did that one expire?
last year.
Internal auditor, do you have a charter that has been approved?
Yes, we do have a charter.
When was that charter approved and by which committee?
The charter was approved in the year 2020.
In 2020?
Yes.
Auditors, should an internal audit charter run for 6 years? What's the best practice?
Thank you, Chair. It should be at least three years, just like any other.
Yeah, that's a serious, and Governor, that's why you have such a long report. So what we are trying to advise you is go back and take advantage of the institutions that the law allows you to establish. The audit committee is extremely important. You need to establish it, gazette it, make sure that they're well remunerated. Of course, there's a problem of remuneration, but that cannot apply because you don't have one. Make sure there's an audit charter, internal audit charter, so that when you come to the Senate, we are discussing issues of potatoes, issues of coffee, issues of policy, not issues of logbooks, as is in this report. Senator Methu.
Chairman, I'm a bit, I think I got lost at some point because I hear the governor say that they have not had an audit committee, or they don't have an audit committee. And I'm in receipt of a letter that you have been copied and the Senate has been copied of the resignation of the chairman of the audit committee, who I think resigned 2 days ago. So I'm not surprised that there has not been an audit committee, because he can only have resigned if he was a member, or if he was chairing an audit committee.
Governor, without it becoming a debate, maybe you just...
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. I would like to bring to the attention of my senator that the process is ongoing. What was remaining was only the gazettement. We had done the recruitment and appointments, but just about the time we were going to gazette, we received some anonymous information querying credibility of some members, and then we undertook a bit of investigations so that we can gazette the right people. So the members are there. The investigation is being concluded this week. So once we clear that information we got, we are going to gazette them and they will begin the work.
Oh, maybe, Chair, let me get it from you, Governor, because you say that it's for information purposes. When were they recruited? Because what remained was just gazettement.
It was some few months back, but I have said we received information which required that we carry out investigation because some of the members we realized had some conflict of interest and we could not go ahead and gazette them. So we stopped the process and undertook the investigation. Next week, I've already invited them to give them the feedback of the investigation so that those who will have been cleared, we can proceed with them as we eliminate the ones who will be in the fault.
So, in essence, the audit committee has never sat. That audit committee never sat. Because they were never gazetted, they cannot have sat.
This one has not sat officially, but we had started the induction and all that until we got that information.
Okay, but I'm now lost, Chairman.
Senator, I think the bottom line is that there's a problem. There's a problem in terms of internal controls and governance. A county without an audit committee, I hope one day we'll convince the House to say that if a county has no audit committee, it should not receive funds.
Well, Chair, can I just get one last clarification? So how do you do induction of an audit committee that has not been gazetted? Which comes first? I thought it's appointment, then gazettement, then induction.
Chair.
Governor?
I would like to say that I have clearly stated that we began the process we have not concluded the process.
Yeah.
That is where I cannot say that we have a varied audit committee, but the process is on.
Okay, we have expressed concern about time. I want to propose, Senator Methu, if there's a letter that has been addressed to the Senate, why don't we allow it to go through the processes, come before this committee, we look at its contents, and if it raises issues that require further query, then we will not hesitate to call the governor or whoever it is who addressed the letter, so that we can go to the report of the Auditor General.
In fact, yeah, I'm not even worried about the letter, having gotten now the insight from the governor that the person who has resigned was not even first appointed. Because if he has not been gazetted, he has not been appointed. So I think the content of the letter is neither here nor there.
Okay.
I mean, the most substantive issue would have been if they ever sat, because if they were never gazetted, then there is no way they would have sat.
It does not exist.
Yeah.
Senator Umbua, with the way forward.
Yeah, Chair. Going forward, it is the governor who asked for a limited time to respond to questions. I would want to advise him to just give us answers, not stories. It is either you have an audit committee or you don't. There can never be an explanation. If you want us to save time, I think the best thing is just to respond to questions and then we move on.
I think the reason it comes up, I believe the last time you appeared before this committee, we raised concern about non-establishment of an audit committee. And we had hoped that when you come back, you'll report to us that progress has been made. But we'll make appropriate recommendations, honorable members. Can we go to the report now? OAG, give us your opinion, and then we go to the basis of the opinion.
Thank you, Chair. The report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of County Executive of Nyandarua for the year ended 30th June 2025. It was a qualified opinion with 3 issues touching on financial. And Chair, if you can allow, we can start with issue number 1.
Issue number 1 is on unexplained voided transactions. Review of the financial records reveal that 1,998 transactions amounting to 1,101,206.248 was voided during the financial year under review. However, supporting documents such as voided payment forgers, requests to void payments, the National Treasury approval, and exchequer requisitions from the Control of Budget were not provided for audit verification. Further, the voided payments have not been disclosed as pending accounts payable, and the utilization of the funds meant for voided transactions was not confirmed. In the circumstances, the regularity of voided transactions amounting to 1.1 billion could not be confirmed.
Governor, you may read your response.
Thank you, Chair. Voiding is a module under IFMIS for cancelling transactions that had already been submitted to internet banking. The reasons for voiding include A, return payments that need to be resubmitted to IB, B, transactions that were submitted to IB but did not reflect due to system error and need to be resubmitted, C, end-of-year procedure of cleaning payments in the system that were not paid and were captured as payable as at 30th June 2025. D, management can also terminate a transaction at any stage in case there are issues within the with the payment. Therefore, out of the 1,191,206,245 transaction amounting to 982,396,187 were voided due to system charges or error payment, but were later paid within the financial year, while transactions amounting to 208,810,121 were voided in line with the end-year closing procedures and are included in the list of payables as shown in Annex A, B, C, and D.
Auditor General.
Thank you, Chair. The issue we were raising was on transaction totaling 1,998. And when you look at the list, of course, they are listed, but we cannot be able to determine what has been paid, what is pending. And that to us is an issue because we cannot determine how much has been paid out of the voided transactions.
I think the first test would be a control of budget. Of these voided transactions, are there some where you had already made approval for payment? Because if that is the case, then that raises serious questions.
Thank you, Chair. Now, the OEG needs to inform this committee whether, number one, he cited the controller of budget approval, that is Form B, that the controller had approved. Number two, controller has actually pronounced herself on this matter of voiding. In the month of November 2020, November 24th, the Office of the Auditor General wrote to Controller of Budget on the issue of following up on the recommendation of the Senate on the report of the Auditor General for the year 23-24, the one that we've just finished considering on the issue of voiding. And Controller has actually pronounced herself on that issue, and she clearly wrote to the Auditor General that her mandate ends at the point she approved the funds. So the responsibility of the accounting officers, those are the people who are making payments. And IFMIS, being a system administered by National Treasury, it is the Treasury that approves those voiding. So the National Treasury will be the best people to tell us why those payments were voided and whether the approval, because she doesn't give any approval once those payments have been done. And the liaison officer from the OEG is aware of that letter because it's been shared with the office. Thank you, Chair.
No, Kashanja, you may have misinterpreted the question. If the controller has approved payment, you know what our concern has always been,
yes,
that the controller has said pay Badilisha 1,000 shillings. And then the officers go and they Badilisha the payment
and pay
so
someone
that
else.
You can pay Methu 1,000. That's a problem. How are you able to tell that is not happening? Because if that happens, that is an offense, isn't it?
True. That is a violation of the law.
But if it's year-end processes, if it's things that have not received the approval of the controller, then you can call that bookkeeping issues. So how do we tell, or OAG, how can you tell that of the 1998 transactions, maybe 100 had already gotten the approval of the controller, and so they ought not to have been voided?
Thank you, Chair. When we look at the payments, of course, we needed such approval from Treasury and even exchequer requisition, which were not provided at that point, and we were not able to determine what has been paid out of that. So we know that is the cause. We should be able to reconcile 1998. There were either the errors, the reasons they have given for voiding.
Yeah, but
have they been cleared or not?
Senator Sifuna?
First, Governor, you'll have to explain to me this. There are some vague terms that are used that don't give any clarity to what the problem was. So you will have to explain to me what these system challenges are. Because here the chair will tell you we prescribe solutions. So if we don't understand what the problem is, it is very difficult for us to help. Number two, to their credit, they have provided a list of every one of those transactions. I can see here most of them are individuals and institutions. I can see the Commission of VAT, Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA withholding rental income, and so on and so forth, with a specific explanation, and there's a column at the end there that says whether it is paid or it is still a pending bill. Are you saying it is not possible for you to test those entries? And what would you require, for instance, to understand? Because they have given you specific entries. The voucher numbers are there. The details of the payment are there. You are saying it is not possible for you as an auditor to be able to test what happened so that you can answer the question that the chair has asked.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, this is a special audit which was done by the information system auditors, where they query the system. They have that expertise, and for purposes of testing the transaction, they have to go back to the system, through the system, because of course this generated in Excel, and you cannot test out of system. So as we speak now, we have not been given that. Maybe we need that room to be able to test. Otherwise, before they've not given us that information.
I think Senator Sifuna put a question to the governor. What are these system challenges?
Yes.
Maybe we address that, then we come back to the senator.
Yeah, and I see a lot. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Okay, Senator Morgan.
Yes. Now, Governor, I've looked at your response. Me, I'm interested in D. Okay. When you say that management can terminate a transaction at any stage in case there are issues with the payment, I thought by the time you are submitting a payment for the approval of COB, you have ascertained that that particular entity or individual is properly owed money by the account and it should be paid. So what instances are these where you submit payment to COB and then again you decide to cancel? And I've just looked at your submission, what is before us. If you go to page 2, you find like somebody called Alex Karidi Muya or Alex Ndumu Maura. He appears like he's being paid 84,000, 10 times. Same amount of money, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? It runs all through. Then you go to another page, you find another Anne Wanjiru Ngugi. Again, she's being paid about 10 transactions. Why is that person appearing repeatedly? Same amount of money 10 times?
Thank you, Chair. I think that question on the system challenge and also whether management can also terminate a transaction and also repeated payments allow the Chief Officer Finance to answer that question.
Okay, be precise for us to manage time.
Thank you, Chair, Your Excellency, sir. On system challenges, Chair, we have the IFMI system and internet banking are usually two different systems that are linked. So for me to make a requisition to COB, then mostly the transactions must be in the internet banking. And if they are not, I think the COB will not admit my requisitions. And just to note that you, for the two, you'll have to submit to IB the linking module from 8 to 5. So you'll find that sometimes they are usually submission either done after 5, and the same transaction will not reflect on the other side of IB. So in that case, you'll have to void and now do it procedurally. Majorly that is usually the case. Or a case of system downtime, during IFMI system downtime, you submit a payment to internet banking. It might not reflect, or else the COB requires that I submit a list of payments that have reflected by the case of system.
Under what circumstances do you void a payment that was written by the control bank?
A return payment.
What is a return payment?
A return payment, for instance, I make a payment to you, then maybe there are issues with the account and the banks return the payments to me. So in that case, I'll have to void and maybe correct the errors in the system. Maybe the account details had an issue, and then, yeah, they are.
Because if you alter the account details, that's a very material alteration. That is alteration that then will direct a payment to somebody else who was not in the original requisition, isn't it?
In most cases, usually the account name must agree, must also, should also agree with the account number.
Account name?
Account name, sorry, account name.
This gentleman called Okongo Mogeni, at some point he ran for political office, and he had another opponent called Okongo. and people voted for the other guy thinking they were voting for him. So that cannot be a procedure in finance.
I would agree. Names who we have citizens with similar names, officers, that I would agree. But in most cases, we have a case, I'll name this, of a donor. That return transactions.
So sorry, how prevalent is that in these appendices that you have provided here?
We just named in the list, we named them as return payments.
Return payments?
Yes.
Are they total too?
I don't think there are subtotals. We just listed and the challenges.
They're minimal. Okay. So you said return payments is one circumstance.
Yes.
What other circumstance would you void a payment that has already been approved?
Literally, that is usually the case.
That's usually the case.
That is usually the case.
Even for that case, do you still need to seek approval from Treasury for that particular case cited by Senator Kajwang?
What happens is that module, voiding, it's called cash payments. We normally have an officer who has that role in the system. So once we have a return payment, they will do a write-up to my office, and we attach a bank statement to show that.
You don't need to request Treasury.
No, we don't.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Treasury informed us that that system had now been tweaked and it was no longer going to be possible for anyone to void transactions. Is that the case?
Yes, Chairman, that's a submission by the National Treasury. They said that is already done for national government entities, but for counties, it's going to take effect in the coming year. That's a submission by the National Treasury.
I thought it was that was the impression.
This is what I'm noting, I think, with for counties,
yes,
in a few cases, because it's unacceptable that you requisition to pay somebody and then the chief officers decide to pay somebody else. That is happening in counties, and that is a test we must carry out. If these 1998 transactions suffer the same problem, then someone must sit behind bars. Senator Wambua.
Chair, we also need to question or test the responses or information that we get from all entities, including the Treasury. Because, and I know we don't have time, but I'm just imagining what the chief officer is saying. If you have processed payments and money has been dispatched to the bank and the recipient account has a problem, that money must come back. How is Treasury able to build a system that ensures that all accounts are okay, everything is okay? Because I think, Chair, one of the challenges that we have, and we had this conversation yesterday around Nyeri County, from where I sit, voiding is not always necessarily a bad thing. There are times when there is justification for voiding. So the Treasury should also need to explain to us what system is it that they are developed that ensures it's 100% a smooth transaction.
I think our concern is on point A in the governor's response and point D. But otherwise, those occasioned by system challenges is understandable, and end-of-year procedures. I think our concern is on the return payments and where management seems to have some discretion to terminate a transaction. So Senator Methu, so that we can...
thank you very much, Chair. I don't want to say what has been said by my colleagues first. Voiding is not an illegal transaction. It's a very legal transaction. What happens is that it is abused. And by the way, Chair, if you just took some little time to Google why do counties void transactions, it is written that one of the reasons why counties void transactions is to shortchange suppliers who are not politically correct. That is what is in Google. If you Google, it's not me who has said. I've just Googled why do counties void transactions. Now, on this issue that the chief officer spoke about, return transactions, I've run my eyes through the response of the governor, and I've seen that there are really quite a few cases of return transactions. The bulk of the reason why there are many transactions that have been voided, and by the way, Chair, maybe audit has changed. in my days when I was a member of this committee, I've never seen this kind of number of voided transactions, 1,998, amounting to 1.1 billion. But I've seen the bulk of this is from system challenges. And the way you have explained, Chief Officer, is you have explained in a very casual way that these are transactions that come after 5 in the evening. It cannot be that this is the only system challenge that you have been facing, because I imagine that the bulk of the transactions are between 8 and 5. It's only a few that would go past that, that working time. Is there any specific system challenge that you think has led to these voided transactions?
Officer? Thank you, Chair. I had also mentioned if missed downtime. That also happens between 8 and 5. That's also...
Honorable members, I think let's tie this to the pending bills. Let's tie it to the pending bills, and we see whether the pending bills are growing, because sometimes this has a relationship. When we are making our recommendations, we will apply our minds and ask ourselves whether they were trying to abuse the process by voiding the transactions, or whether they were trying to shortchange suppliers by voiding the transactions. And we can make fairly strong recommendations.
Chair.
I'll allow the Vice Chair and Kinoti, then we can move to trade payables and tie the two together.
Yeah, I just said one part of what I wanted to say, that voiding transactions is one of the culprits in the escalation of pending bills. That one is granted. But number two, for my comfort, we want to be sure that after that voiding was done, in the subsequent year, were all those transactions paid? Were they honored? Because now we're in the third quarter of this year. Have you honored all of them that were voided?
Thank you, Chair. If you check Governor's response, the last part after D, you check that we actually, out of the voided transactions amounting to 1 billion, 982 were actually later paid. Having said that, as per the system challenges, you void, you resubmit the payment again, and you pay.
Okay, we'll connect. We'll do that connection, Vice Chair Kinoti.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to know what you're saying that we tie it to payables, especially if we have statutory deductions in the payables, because you find majority of the time the payees and other statutory deductions is what is usually diverted, and the diversion is through the voiding. Because I can see from the last financial year, 2023-2024, you refund a matter to EACC. 3,125 transactions worth over $500 million over the same voiding. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So, honorable members, the next issue on unreconciled receivables from non-exchange transactions, the Auditor General has told us that it was explained as flocker. We shall look at the written responses. First-time adoption of IPSAS 33 and transitional provisions. We shall also, I think this is more of a compliance issue. We shall take the written responses. Let's go to other matter, emphasis of matter, and look at long outstanding payables so that we can deal with this monster called pending bills. Honorable members, if your financial statements, it will be good for you to turn to note 32 to allow us to prosecute this.
Which one is that?
Long outstanding payables. It is under emphasis of matter. Auditor General, you may read your findings.
Okay.
Under long outstanding payables.
Okay. The statement of position and as disclosed, note number 32 to the financial statement reflect trade and other payables balance of 5,024,674,774. Included in the balance is outstanding amount of 2.7 billion that remain unsettled for over a year, comprising of payables of 77 million aged between 1 and 2 years, 35 million aged 2 to 3 years and 2.6 billion aged over 3 years. In the circumstances, the failure to meet the obligation as they fall due may be an indicator of possible disputes and disagreement within the services providers hold to the service provider hold the amount. And this matter is not a qualifying matter.
Well, I don't know what that last statement meant, but this matter is the most important matter. In fact, if this is the only thing we discuss today, then we'll have done justice, because you have pending bills totaling 5 billion Kenya shillings. 5 billion. I thought yesterday we saw a county with 300 million. 5 billion. So, Governor, please read your response.
Thank you, Chair. In the financial year 2024-25, we managed to settle pending bills worth 404 million, 136.78. In the financial year 2025-2026, the management has budgeted 347 million towards settlement of pending bills in the original budget, and has already cleared pending bills worth 284. Of the total unsettled amount of 2.7 billion outstanding for a period exceeding 1 year, a pending bill amounting to 1 billion relates to the construction of JEM Memorial Hospital. From this balance, 79 million have since been paid, while the remaining 988 has been transferred to the Department of Defense. The balance has therefore been removed from the list of pending bills as Annex 3A, B, C, and D.
Governor, your total revenue was 6.29 billion, isn't it, for that year?
Yes.
And then you reported that you closed with total trade payables of 5 billion, isn't it? 5 billion. 5 billion, 24 million. That is 80% of your total revenues. 80%. I mean, if 80% of your total revenues is amounts owed to suppliers, staff, and other entities, I don't know whether Nyandarua should be dissolved, because it's technically insolvent. Governor, could we just understand how your pending bills grew from 2.9 billion in the prior year to 5.024 billion in the year under review?
Thank you, Chair. Let me allow the Chief Officer Finance to come in.
Okay.
Yeah, before he comes in,
Senator Dulo?
maybe they can give us the age of those pending bills, because that is very high.
Chair,
Senator
so,
Cherarke?
and the governor with PhD should note some of our questions. Chair, you have asked a very important question. Looking at note 32, under 1 year, the pending bill that you had under 1 year was 2.2 billion, 278 million, 158,831, comprising 45%. Then over 3 years was 2.6 billion, comprising to total of around 5.0 billion Kenya shillings. When you look at the aging analysis, Chair, and it has to be noted that under employee payables, Governor, it is 434,439,839. Does this also involve or include statutory deductions, gratuity that is supposed to be paid by employees, number one? Number two, this 1 year only, you had more than 2.2 billion, which means was more than your development budget. What were you doing with 2.2 billion? Is Nyandarua going concern? I yield back, Chair.
What about over 3 years?
What about over 3 years is 2.6 billion.
Over 3 years?
Yeah. So you wanted to match what happened over 3 years with under 1 year. Is it because we are headed to the campaign, Governor? And we know what happens?
So, Governor, this is a matter of grave concern, considering that your senator here convinced all of us to include Nyandarua in the list of counties that were getting an affirmative action allocation. I don't know, maybe someone wants to explain what it is that we did for Nyandarua to get an additional allocation in that financial year?
Actually, Chair, if you allow me, I can actually say myself, because I'm very grateful that two of the colleagues who really pushed this agenda are here. I'm very grateful to Senator Wambua, or rather, every colleague who is here actually pushed this agenda.
Wrong, yes, because
I actually withdraw.
Don't disclose the cartel.
Yes, I withdraw and apologize.
Why are you passing my bubble? I mean, let me write my bubble.
Let me on the floor of the house.
Let me chair.
No, it's a very serious point.
Let me chair.
So let's give it the seriousness that it deserves.
Let me chair rephrase it this way. I'm very grateful that the senator who moved that particular amendment, Senator Wambua, is actually a member of this committee. I'm also very grateful that the chairman of the caucus of the 12 counties, Senator Okongo Morgan, is also a member of this committee. I'm very grateful that our deputy leader of majority, or deputy whip, was actually in the house and helped us whip almost everybody to have and include Nyandarua, which had been excluded because the initial counties were 11. Nyandarua had been excluded. I was able to convince my colleagues when we got an opportunity just before the vote to get an extra 374 million for affirmative action. And this was a major boost to the budgets of our, and I actually understand then the concerns of the senator, because initially we didn't qualify. Honestly, we didn't qualify to get this money. We didn't qualify to be in the group of those who qualified to be in the affirmative. There were only 11 counties that were in the original motion that was in the amendment. But out of the magnanimity of the senators, out of the magnanimity of the Senate, you actually agreed, after I presented a very strong case, to include Nyandarua. And that's why I know that senators actually would look at Nyandarua in a special eye, because we actually qualified at the last, very, very last minute. So therefore, if anything was to go wrong in Nyandarua, you'd feel very, very disappointed. Because I know Senator Kajwang was initially not a very good friend of ours, but ultimately he was convinced to support, to support that particular amendment, and it was carried, and we are very grateful.
So we raised that point to see how the 374 million is being applied in ensuring that you are able to balance your financials.
Chair, I don't want
but what we have in front of us is very alarming.
I don't want this to be lost on the governor. Governor, actually, the import of that is that all the other 37 counties agreed to donate money to the 12 counties. So we donated 374 million Kenya shillings to Nyandarua County by all other counties, including Nairobi. So we want to know this money that we donated to you, how has that money been used?
Senator Sifuna?
Yeah, as the governor answers, I will also look straight in the eye of this so-called chairman of this caucus of small counties and remind them that they were able to persuade us by arguments such like this money was going to be ring-fenced for development, so that we don't see the money being used for meetings of coffee farmers. So we want the governor to tell us specifically, because we thought that this additional money was going to be able to assuage some of the issues. I remember the problem of water in Lamu, some of those issues in the counties. So you cannot have pending bills like this, Governor.
Governor?
You know, Chairman, but Chairman,
Morgan?
Yeah, you know, governors, you make life very difficult for some of us. You know, I was the one who was chairing that caucus. And when Senator Sifuna says we were convincing them that this money was going to be ring-fenced, our expectation was that the entire 374 million was going to be used for development. So I expected, Chair, that in this financial year, we will see a reduction in pending bills, because we have new money for development. But now when you come here with us, a financial statement that shows that the pending bills portfolio is growing, how will we ever again come back to convince the senators who are here to donate money to you for development? And I hope you... Yeah.
because he really put a strong case.
Senator, we don't have a Senator Mashugu.
Okay. In fact, in one afternoon, Senator Metu almost stalled the debate in the House. And they said if Nyandaro is not included, this motion will fail. So he put in a lot of effort to ensure that you get the 374. But now you come here again to present a worst case scenario. What do you expect us to do in another 5 years when we do another formula?
Can you allow me just to respond?
Can you allow me to just say one thing so that the government responds in one bit? By the way, I never expected to get flowers because that is why that is my work. The only thing that I expected from the governor, and I must say this because Senator Sifuna has actually put it across, it was my request to the governor that since you already had a budget, a proposed budget, this is money that came the very last minute. I expected that there is somewhere in the budget of Nyandaro 2025-2026, you can actually see this specific 374 million. It's a request that I put to the governor, and unfortunately I know it can't be found anywhere. It was just merged within the other development programs of the county. So therefore there's no way I can say that this money was spent for this particular, I mean the way we had agreed at the Senate. And the way I had also asked very politely to the governor, because I can't do the budget. Initially, he had agreed that we would sit down. He had actually promised that he would invite me so that we can sit down with the county assembly and agree how we shall spend this money, because it is money that I pushed. But I just, I mean, that meeting has not happened so far, and I know the end of the financial year is coming in the next 4 months. But I expected, because this money will still come next year, I expected that there should be that money the way we had agreed that it will be ring-fenced and it will be specifically used for development. If our development budget was budgeted to be 1.1 billion, I expected that it would go straight to 1.4 billion because there's an additional 374 million that was not there in the original budget, that we had not qualified in the original budget.
In addition to what colleagues are saying, just before he answers,
so
that they can tire. Looking at the exchequer releases that Nyandarua County government received was 6,297,333,369. Looking at the pending bills, trade and other payables was 5 billion. So the difference is 1 billion for funding other development programs, let's assume. So which means Nyandarua County Executive is what we call a going concern. It's technically insolvent.
And I think that is factual, because if you go to the bank, your balance sheet is 5.1 billion, your total assets is 3.5 billion. Technically insolvent.
Bond, by first of all, acknowledging what the senators have said.
Actually, I don't know. You said something. I just want to pick in my mind. It's technically insolvent. So technically insolvent and a crime scene, which is worse.
We will let him first respond.
Thank you, Chair, for stopping that definition until we have responded.
Yes, we can make a conclusion after your response.
I really appreciate that what the Senate did for Nyandarua. And on behalf of the great people of Nyandarua, we are thankful. The 374 million, I want to assure this Senate, not a coin has been touched. Of course, you know, there are these budgetary issues. Sometimes the Assembly also have an input. But we sat with the Assembly and agreed, even if that money had been fragmented, we voided some projects that had been introduced so that at the supplementary level, money will be consolidated, and we do as the Senate expected. So just be assured that the effort you made is not going to put it to waste. Now, coming to this pending bill, as senators, I want to say our pending bill is not 5 billion. And for a clear explanation, I want to bring in my chief officer finance.
Governor, you cannot run away from it. It's in your statement, it's in your balance sheet.
I'm on the chair.
Yes, and it has been saying, Chair.
I plead with you humbly, allow me to give the response. If I don't convince you,
No. Unless you are withdrawing your financial statements. What we need to understand is how have you moved? Maybe that's the explanation you want to give. But
yes.
At the time you close the year, your pending bill was 5 billion against total revenues of 6.2 billion. That is a financial statement that you presented to the Auditor General.
Due to exchequer the time of exchequer releases, sometimes you find transaction closing over the year. That is why you see that. But that's why I'm saying, let the chief officer tell us, even if there's some transaction closed over, what happened, because I am very sure that is not a pending bill. Chief officer, kindly.
Thank you, Chair, Your Excellency, sir. I kindly want to confirm that we prepared our financial statement using the accrual. It's as accrual. And we closed the year as at 30th June 2025. So that means all the transactions that we made in the month of July, due to an extension of the National Treasury, were also included in the list of pending bills. And we can provide an annex of a total of 1.6 billion. That is part of the 5 billion that was paid in the month of July. But due to accounting principles, we have to include
billion is over 3 years. Now that is a cost.
And thank you, Chair. And we've explained from the responses made by His Excellency the Governor that out of that, a total of 1 billion for JM Hospital Complex that was included as part of our pending bills has been transferred to the department.
988 million,
988.
Isn't it?
Yes.
That leaves you with 1.6 billion.
That leaves
over 3 years.
Yeah, true.
So what's the story? What's the plan?
Within the year, Chair, we've also made payment from July to date amounting to 284 million.
Out of the 1.6?
Yes.
That leaves you with 1.4 billion over 3 years.
Yes.
Governor, why aren't you paying? Because over 3 years, those are bills that were incurred when you are not in the county. Are you punishing suppliers? Are you politicizing the settlement of pending bills? You cannot have 2.6 billion, now you have reduced it to 1.4. You cannot have 1.4 billion of money owed to suppliers, mostly small traders, women, PWDs, outstanding for 3 years. That is unacceptable. And yet every year you get your allocation in full. What would be the problem?
Chair, I want to agree that out of 1.4, there could be some pending bill which are reasonable, which we are preparing to pay. But remember, Chair, this is pending bill that in 3 years, 5 years, and we've been calling these suppliers to come and make claims. Some of them are not available. Others do not have a single paper. Maybe some of those pending bills, which still appears in our books, are completely not payable. So,
but Governor, you have captured it in your balance sheet. Your officers should tell you that this year you are presenting a balance sheet. And your balance sheet, you are admitting a liability of 2.6 billion. So you can't recognize the liability if there is no evidence of its existence. The minute you have it in your books, in your balance sheet, then you are owning it, and you have to pay it.
And Chair, there must be some evidence that you've called the suppliers to come and give evidence that they supplied, in terms of maybe a task force, you know.
Or circularization.
Circularization.
Especially those pending bills that were incurred before we came in.
But
some of them were not genuine.
Again, this is the first time I'm hearing from a governor that suppliers don't want to come for their money. This is the first time I'm hearing.
In fact, in most cases, more come than the one that you have in your
I think he's been asking them to come. Please come for your money. They are not interested.
But remember, they are listening to this conversation. So we need to be very careful the message we are sending to the public.
If you allow me, let me go to the very response that has been made by the governor. In the financial year 2025-2026, management has budgeted 347 million towards settlement of pending bills in the original budget. And I have seen the annex of the budget 2025-2026. It is Annex 3A. And in Annex 3A, the pending bills for recurrent, they have budgeted 55 million. And for development, 192 million. And the summation of that is 247. May I know from the governor where this other 100 million appears in this particular extract?
Chair, in addition.
Yeah.
So that's just a quick one. You can actually just go straight.
The others, the chief, they were itemized, so
yeah, it's true. And they were actually itemized, and one of them is the JM complex that was based at the Department of Health. The others were in the Department of Finance.
No, but since this is just a two-page document, can you just point me to one of those that is itemized, that is meant to pay this pending bill? Where this one, you know, like this 247, it appears on page 1. Pending bill recurrent, pending bill development. That sums up to 247 million. Because I imagine this Annex 3A was meant to satisfy the committee.
There is page 2 of the budget of that annex.
Yes.
There is down there is Mashuja JM complex. Allocation of 100. The second.
You see, even if numbers were true, how many take you to settle your total stock of pending bills at that rate? Considering that every year you're incurring new bills, but even the historical ones, the 1.4 billion, at that budgetary allocation.
And a related question here would be, do you have a proper payment plan to honor those pending bills, the ones that are eligible? Do you have it? Or
Yes,
can
we
you
do.
prepare it? Can you bring it?
Yes, we can. We have a payment plan.
So how many years will it take to settle?
No, Chair.
At that rate?
Chair, sorry. I think they don't have a payment plan because I've heard the governor saying some of the pending bills are not genuine. So how are they having payment plan? Is he going to actually kick out or maybe throw out some of the pending claims by the contractors? Number 2, Chair, it's too late in the year for the county to tell us they are still looking for the contractors. And the assessment normally is done at the beginning of at the entry of the new government. So if Nyandarua County, 3 years down the line, they are telling us some of the cases are not genuine and they have not verified, then I think they are not serious as far as I'm concerned. Something needs to be done, or maybe we can even ask Auditor General to do a special.
Senator Moffat?
I think Governor said that pending bills. Have you done any verification? Do you have a commission plan that has done some verification that maybe we can have a report before us?
Yes. In addition, maybe the governor can tie up all questions. Governor, what is the true pending bill? Because you are casting doubt on 1.4 billion. Number 2, in the observation of OAG, the money you received in July was 1.5 billion. But your chief officer is saying it is 1.6 billion. So which is the correct figure? And finally, Chair, I've seen the contractor, there is one contractor called Blue Val Enterprises, has been paid for 13 million Kenya shillings. A number of contractors, for example, The total paid was 515 million against 1.5 billion. So what is the justification of some of these contractors that you are paying people who owe much against the one? Governor, the word in Nyandarua, I've heard you saying that contractors don't want to come and claim. The word in Nyandarua is you must pay 10% to be paid. How true is that assertion? Thank you, Chair. Yield back.
Honourable members, we agreed that we're going to manage time. I think if the governor's answers are not satisfactory, we just take it as such. We mark the script and give him whatever marks we think he deserves. But for the sake of the suppliers, employees of Nyandarua, you must give certain assurances. Governor.
Thank you, Chair. This is the reason why we put in place a task force to help us identify the pending bills which are payable. And out of that, that is why we have that payment plan. Like last year, we planned to pay 347 million as per our ability. And we will continue doing that. But as for the pending bills that have been disapproved by the task force, maybe even in future, Senate should also advise us, because again, it's against the law just to throw away a pending bill just because our task force has put it that way. We would want to be advised what we do with those pending bills that we are maintained there, and yet our task force has recommended to us that they are not payable, because we still maintain them in our books because we have no legal way of maybe putting them out, Chair.
Governor, the global, let's take the global without going to the numbers here. At 347 per year, it will take you 4.5 years to settle the 1.4 billion, that is over 3 years. It means that some supplier will be paid 10 years after they invoice the county. Are we really building local businesses with that kind of approach?
Chair, can I tie my question with your question?
Senator,
because I've seen that the amount owed to employees, or rather the employees payables, is 434 million. And I've seen that in the budget for 2025-2026, the amount that has been set aside to settle this is just 55 million. But can I get to understand what comprises of these 434? Is it allowances? Is it, what comprises of this particular 434? Because if you are budgeting 55 million every year to settle these bills, then it will take you 8 years. So if this comprises of an allowance, there's an employee from Nyandarua who will be paid 8 years from today, an allowance that they have incurred now.
Chair, in addition, just addition, Governor, and I've seen you have ignored my questions, which is okay. The second one I want to, this is to notify. How much does it, Chair, to remove asbestos, roofing asbestos? Is proposed completion of works and removal of asbestos, roofing at JM Karaoke level 5. You gave out a tender of 988,361,140. Removing. Why were you giving a contract of removal of this substance? I know it's cancerous, but what was the justification? Are you doing a new, and this is the same company called Blue Valley Enterprises that was being paid very well in this county?
That exact amount has been transferred to the Department of Defense.
That is what I'm wondering.
Up to the last cent.
Yes. I'm wondering why the inclusion of this part of removal of this material from the roof.
Chair.
So, Chair, then is this a case of a double spending? That
yes.
Let the governor explain.
Chair, I think that is not for removal. Actually, we are constructing a 5-bed capacity.
Point of order, Chair. This is your document, it's Annex 3E. Governor, if your chief officer is kind, it is indicated. It says tender for completion works and removal of that substance.
That's
asbestos.
That's Annex 3.
Removing, yeah. The Annex 3E.
Chair, allow the Chief of Medical Services to
If it is the completion of works, Governor, why addition of removal?
Let the Chief of Medical Health say something on that, please.
Yes, Chair. This contract is the one that is being undertaken by the DOD, Department of Defense, and this is what the Honourable Senator is referring is the letter of award, and it is them, the Department of Defense, who included the removal of asbestos, because there are some buildings in the old JM hospital which have asbestos, but the bulk of the money will go to towards the construction of the 5-story building, the complex.
For purposes of time, who is Blue Valley Enterprises Limited?
Blue Valley is the contractor who is contracted by the DOD, the Department of Defense.
So this is a new contractor through the chair to JM Kariuki Level 5 Hospital.
He was still the one who was contracted by the county, but after they did the assessment,
they allowed him.
They allowed him to continue because he had done a very good job.
Through the governor, this removal part, you are in the meetings with. I've seen you have signed an agreement with the national government. What was the justification of this part and removal of this substance? Because if they can say the money we use, because I want to imagine the contract that is in place is completion of works, the scope and the BQ. Why would he include this foreign issue?
Actually,
sorry, Senator Chirage, where have you seen the agreement between the county and DOD?
There was a chair. Maybe I saw it somewhere that there was a agreement.
Do we have an agreement between the county and the Department of Defense?
Chair, we only have a termination. The termination. They asked us to terminate.
To terminate your contract with Blue Valley?
Yes.
So that they can do a contract with Blue Valley?
Yes, Blue Valley. So we have a termination. It is there. It is annexed somewhere there.
So the problem here was that the county was not competent to supervise the project.
No, it's lack of funds. We requested the national government to step in, not supervision.
This is funded from the national government.
Yes.
So the contractor you had, it was just a paper you terminated, but DOD took the same contractor at the same contract price. Sorry, with additional?
With additional works, and they now came up with the new terms. And
now, if you terminated Blue Valley as a county and termination agreement is here, wasn't there an expectation that DOD would search for the most efficient contractor rather than going with the one that you have just terminated? Just explain to us that logic.
We did not terminate the contractor because of inefficient. We terminated so that they can initiate transaction with him, because there could not be two contracts going on. So ours is to come to an end so that they begin theirs. But looking at the work he had done, they compared with others, they decided that they would want to continue.
What was the process that they went through to establish that Blue Valley is the best above everybody else? Or was it clothed in the confidential procurement space?
Chair, I think now you see this is DOD, they have their own working.
Because this presents a very, very serious risk that a county has terminated the contract with a contractor, and then DOD goes and just picks the guy without any due process, without competition. I mean, it's almost like what we are talking about with Safaricom right now, that there's some unilateralism in award of certain decisions. We would have expected that once you have terminated this contract, that contract has ended. And I think the Public Procurement Act requires that if you are to do a new one, then you go into some competitive processes. Unless DOD is exempted, which it may be, and unless then that becomes the black hole that we use to do funny things.
Maybe to clarify that is that we had requested for additional money from the national government, and we had been promised that they were to give us the money. But after considering their procurement and other terms, they requested, instead of us giving you the money, terminate your contract with this contractor so that now they will be the supervisors. We will be there to as a stakeholder and also to advise, but now they are the ones, their supervisors will join our works officers to do it together. He will be paid from DOD, and until now the construction is over.
Senator Dulo.
Just a clarification, because there's a bit of confusion here. You've terminated the contract with Blue Valley, and you are telling us the payment is done by DOD. What is the role of the county government? Because this is your work. And I want a clarification whether you are doing the co-funding of the new works that DOD has taken over.
Just a follow-up.
Senator Wambua, Senator...
I wanted a follow-up on what she has just asked. By the time you terminated, you had paid over 600 million. What works had been done? Or was it for the removal of the asbestos? What was that 600 million being paid for?
I'd tie that to Senator Wambua's question.
You know, Chair, a proper scrutiny of this matter, I think we will yield a lot of information. Governor, from where I sit now and from what you said, I think there are three entities involved in this contract. There is the county government, which is actually the suitable place where this project lies. It's your project. There is Treasury, where you have had an engagement with the Treasury on additional funding to complete the project. And then there is DOD that I don't know then how it comes in, whether it is you then who has, after realizing that the Treasury is taking too much time to give you the money, then you rush to DOD and tell them, good people, why can't we have a deal? And then Treasury comes back again and tells you, terminate this, let DOD complete, we will do supervision together. Chair, the question that I'm asking is, in all these stories, where is Article 187 and 189 of the Constitution coming in? Because this is a county government function that is now being undertaken by national government, and all we are hearing is, I agreed with DOD, I agreed with the Treasury. Where are the agreements?
Let me put it clear so that members can pick it up.
Let's hear from the governor. Maybe might answer what you wanted to ask.
The county
is totally different.
Okay.
The county.
What Ajibu then?
The same.
The county decided to construct a 5-story, 500-bed capacity building, and we had a budget of about 1.5 billion. When the president came visiting Nyandarua, we asked him, because we have taken almost 10 years with our small budget, every year 200, 100, we requested that he assist us. So he's the one who gave an executive order that defense come in to help. So when the defense was given that executive instruction, they came now and requested that we terminate our contract so that now they can do it the other bit wholly. So that's how it is.
Where does that leave Article 187?
Governor, you are not understanding what we're saying. We're saying if you transfer a county function, the law requires that there is a formal agreement. You have had these conversations even with your, what are they called, the bursaries. So you would have to have an agreement with the national government because some of us don't put much value to those roadside declarations by the president. You have to have an agreement with the national government so that these questions the senators are asking can be answered in the contract.
You know? And also maybe add what Senator Duro asked. So who is purchasing the materials? If DOD is maybe giving the labor, how is the materials acquired?
So, Governor, address Article 187 on intergovernmental agreements.
I remember it was clearly stated that after the construction, the building would be handed over back to the county to run it. So,
Governor, you didn't get the point.
The facts.
You didn't get
That's
the point.
after the fact.
The DOD is a national government entity, and really, there is nothing wrong in the president making those pronouncements, but it has to be reduced to a legal form. And that legal form is 187 and Intergovernmental Relations Act. Can you confirm how you complied with that?
we will follow it up and ensure that it's done.
When Blue Valley has already been contracted.
There is a county attorney. Maybe explain to us what they understand. Chair, finally, I wanted just to ask OAG as county attorney prepares, have you cited this project? Because if 608 million has been paid, Governor, 608,800,797 had been paid, and the national government through DOT is coming with 988 million. Does it include completion of the project or plus equipment of the hospital? Because if it is completion, 688 against 1.4, 1.5, that project should be 70%. Maybe before the governor goes with your indulgence, Chair, maybe OAG, have you spotted this project and probably how many percent?
You know, members, before we get there, let's first deal with the issues of constitutional compliance. The only thing that has changed here, the contract hasn't changed. The client hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed is that DOD has come into the picture. In the absence of intergovernmental agreement, the neat thing would have been for the national government to give you a conditional grant. Because we would have expected that, fine, DOD has taken over. Maybe your contractor was lazy. Maybe the county was lazy in supervision. They would come up with a completely new framework. But nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The contract sum remains the same. The contractor remains the same. The client remains the same. But DOD has come in. Why wouldn't you have asked for a conditional grant for that amount? Because you're saying all you needed was money.
Maybe, Chair, if you allow me to just read the position of the Constitution of the risk that the Senate is seeing in this particular transfer. If you look at Article 187 2B, constitutional responsibility of the performance of the function or exercise of the power shall remain with the government to which it is assigned in the fourth schedule. So once this function has now been assigned to the DOD, the function remains with the DOD, unless there is a framework or an agreement with the county government.
No. The responsibility remains with the entity to which it was originally assigned, which is Governor Badilisha.
Yeah, and Governor, I hope you see the danger that, you know, governments exist in perpetuity. If you have an agreement with the government of Kenya, it's not the same as having an agreement with William Ruto. Because there will come a day when you will not be there, and you might get a cantankerous fella who maybe sees things different.
And that day might be very soon, actually.
Extremely.
For the cantankerous fella.
Just a minute. Let me finish. You know, Chair, I was walking.
Chair,
Let me finish,
I don't know what.
Can I finish?
Chair, I don't know.
Can I finish?
No, I think Sifuna is cutting both ways. I think it's okay.
Chair.
No, let's accept which and proceed.
Chair, to be fair, I don't know what his obsession of Sifuna with William Ruto.
I have not.
Can he make his submission?
No. Sifuna has cut both ways.
It is the governor who has invoked the name of the
Sifuna.
Say the national
He has said the next one might be cantankerous. So let's just leave it at that.
You know, Chair,
you can see the intolerance.
You know where?
You
Who
can
is
see
intolerant?
the tolerance.
No, where?
If you don't want me to express myself, you are shouting.
But it is you who does not want Sifuna to express himself. Let him finish his point.
Okay, order. Senator Sifuna, proceed. Senator Sifuna.
I think you are the one who's obsessed with me, because every time I raise issues here, you are always shouting me down.
You must stop rousing and arousing each other.
Why would I be obsessed?
Senator Sifuna.
It is better I'm obsessed with the president.
Senator Sifuna.
Chair, if you look at the contract document, I have read it. Some cantankerous people have not read it. At page 3 of that contract, it specifically says under clause 6 that following a commitment by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya. It is in your document, so it is okay for us to discuss these matters. And Chair, I was walking on eggshells because I didn't want him to start making noise here. Because yesterday we discussed something called separation anxiety. There are people who are very anxious because they are going home. But the point that I was making, Governor, is that you are safer. You are safer having an agreement with the government of Kenya.
But it goes home daily unless you live on the street.
Order, Senator Cherargei.
At this rate, Chairman, we will not have a meeting.
Order, Senator Cherargei.
You will get your opportunity to say whatever
you use your powers? Please don't allow.
Okay, proceed.
If you want to turn this political platform, we are ready.
I will determine how the meeting progresses. Senator Sifuna, proceed.
Once you've given me the mic, please. Let me conclude and then you can give the mic to Senator Cherargei, because this shouting over each other presents a very bad picture to our guests here. Senator Cherargei, you can say whatever it is you want to say after I finish. There's no problem. What I am saying is, Governor, for the people of Nyandarua, it is safer for you to have an agreement with the national government. It is actually a legal and constitutional requirement, because next time, when it is somebody else, you cannot tie them to this sort of agreements. Because I believe the interest of the people of Nyandarua is for this hospital to be concluded. So please, you cannot tell us that you will ignore a constitutional provision. Let us have a formal agreement with the government of Kenya so that the team that comes in next in September of 2027 can still continue doing this work for you.
I think what we are asking for is an intergovernmental agreement. Does it exist? Does it exist? Beyond this, whatever has been captured in clause 6, the commitment by His Excellency the President.
At the moment, it doesn't exist, but before the time.
Okay, I think that has been established as a fact. Let's now interrogate with that in mind.
Yes, Chair.
Senator Wambua.
Allow me, Chair. So it doesn't exist. In your admission, then it's a breach, right? Not just of the law of the Constitution. Because, Chair, you see, if you read that 187 properly, it is not just a function that moves to the other level of government, but even the budget that had been allocated to that project moves with the project to the other level of government. So, because there was a budget for this in the county government, where is that budget? How was that budget utilized?
Chair, in addition,
Senator
I wanted to pick the mind of the county attorney, whether she's aware, I don't know whether she was a lady, or has she advised the governor based on such engagements? Because, Chair, you remember the Senate passed the County Attorney Act in the last session in 2020, which I presided over, is, Chair, the reason we created the County Attorney Office and County Solicitor was to assist county governments in such legal issues. So my question is, maybe the County Solicitor will tell us, maybe she saw these things different, because I suspect by the time this agreement was being drawn up, the County Attorney must be aware. Maybe, Chair, you can give her 1 or 2 minutes to tell us. Maybe it's different way.
Okay, we're mindful of the time. We're almost at the time that we were to terminate this exercise.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and members, and thank you for the question. At the time we were doing the termination of this contract, we took it as a transfer of service, not basically a transfer of function, because the functions and everything still remain within the county, and all we were going for from the national government was the funding aspect.
Was there a budget for this project from the county government?
Yes, the Chief Officer for Health will respond to that, please. Yes.
And I think that interpretation, just on the face of it, we disagree. Yes. We disagree. You cannot transfer 800 and something million, almost $1 billion shillings, and then just call it a transfer of service. No, that we disagree with. That flies in the face of the Intergovernmental Relations Act and Article 187.
Yes, so, Chair, there was a budget of 100 million for the JM complex, but that money was paid for additional works that were done by contractors before by the day. So we have already paid the contractor who had done additional works before by the DOD. We had already a budget of 100 million, and we have already paid.
This is something whether the project.
Thank you, Chair. There's an issue which, on number 14, the delay in project that is proposed construction of medical complex. And the amount, I read the whole observation.
No, you are talking there. What is the
Percentage of completion.
The amount paid.
You know, the thing, Chair, that we need to establish here is that
Actually,
the percentage of
honorable members,
project.
to give guidance, because it's a substantive audit observation on this particular project with a very interesting response from the county government. Maybe we deal with it so that we also knock that off. That is the issue on proposed construction of medical complex at JM Memorial County.
Chair, before we get there, because we are not coming back to payables.
No, we will tie them. Just trust me. We will tie them.
A different one.
Because
okay, Senator Maruma.
Those, I think, Senator Charageu asked the question on pending staff payables of 434 million. Oh, it's you? Yeah. Of 434 million. I don't think the governor responded to this.
And there was also other payables.
That is exactly where I wanted.
Sometimes it is employees who have been given permission to go attend at our workshop. They'll spend maybe 100,000, and then they come back, but they're not paid because during the time they were leaving, the county had no money.
So can we close that?
Yes.
Then we go to the hospital.
The question that I asked, because it was not answered, what is the nature of these 434 million?
Correct. That's a very direct answer.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. 434 million includes 207 million for July salaries.
207
million.
Leaving a balance of 220 something.
Yeah, there was also 16 million for former defunct local authorities pensions.
Leaves 200 million.
The 200 million that was May salaries that were paid in the month of July. So the only balance we carried forward was 207 plus 16. In terms of accrual, because the list includes, it's also part of the accrual, the 200 million was paid in the month of
Okay, that makes sense. What about the other payables of 454 million?
I'll have to get back.
Chair, honestly, that answer does not make sense as you actually put it.
No, I
this
think it's broken it down. Other payables of a similar amount. How do you explain it?
No, Chair, if just before you get there, so that I am also able to move with the chief officer. If this 434 million includes salary for 2 months, 1 month you said you paid 220.
Yes.
So,
roughly,
sorry? Roughly there. So for 2 months was supposed to be 440. So the only outstanding amount then would be 13 million. So how comes in your budget you have 55 million?
You have?
Or in this, how comes in your budget, the Annex 3A, you have payables of 55 million? Or do you want to actually tell this committee that you don't owe, just let me finish. Do you want to tell this committee that the county government of Nyandarua does not owe allowances to the members of staff of the county of Nyandarua? Because from your explanation, it looks like this 434 million is salaries for 2 months, for July and for May.
And pensions, true.
Pensions, 16 million.
Yes.
So that becomes 456 million.
For allowances, we don't owe.
You don't owe?
Yes.
So what was this 55 million in your budget meant to pay?
Or you paid in that window after June 30th?
Yes.
The window that Treasury leaves for 15 days.
I think members really, if you look at the bigger ticket issues, the employee payables we have seen due to delayed remittances, it can appear as a pending bill as long as it's explained and as long as it's not statutory deductions that are long outstanding. Could you just quickly tell us these other payables of 454 million? That is not staff related, is not trade payables, is not deposits and retentions.
A minute, I check. Kindly, Chair.
Who signed off these financial statements?
I did.
As a chief officer or as the person with the professional responsibility?
Chief officer.
Yeah, so this is such a big number that it must ring a bell. And then, honorable members, I also want to urge you to go to the governor's response on completion of JM Memorial County Referral Hospital, because we are going to go into it. Just consider his response and see whether it addresses the question, because it introduces another element that the DOD was doing procurement. And then they landed on the same contractor who had been terminated just a few days before. Yeah. 454. Huwezi kuwa na deni ya milioni 400 na ujui ni deni ya wapi, na ujui ni deni ya nani, unless you have too much money. 454 million. Umesema ni deni?
Yes.
Na ujui ni deni ya nani?
I just want to be precise, Honorable Chair.
No, just describe for us, because for staff you have given us a broad description. This 454, what is it? What some other counties are put there sometimes are the deposits and retentions, but your deposits and retentions have been disclosed separately. Governor, mtu anakudai 454 million, but you don't know who it is.
You know, Chair, in other words, you're saying in Nyandarua County, 454 million lies in the category of others. You know, it's pocket change.
I have the response.
Yes.
The 454 includes transfers to other entities that include Flocker that were made after the month of July. Flocker, KISIP, KDSP, those transfers came late and we made them in the month of July.
Auditor General, does that make sense? Because if the transfers were not done, or whatever was actually transferred should have been reflected in that other line on transfer to other, you know, there's another line, expenditure. line on transfers.
Yes.
But you know, it is very difficult to run away from some of these things if they are on paper. You know, what I'm getting from the governor is that immediately there was an executive order. It trumps everything else, you know. For as long as the president has said, you know, DOD, maliza hii kazi. You know, everything else, you know, according to the governor, does not hold water. And I want the county attorney to go on record, Chair, through you, and tell us whether she advised the county government of Nyandarua to stick to the constitution on the transfer of this function. Don't tell us about the service. Whether there was advice given to the county government executive to stick to the law.
In addition, Chair, because this thing comes back to the legality of this transfer, the county attorney should convince her, because I am surprised that she argued that this was transfer of service as opposed to the function. What were her basis that she said that this was a service instead of 187 in transfer of sanction? And finally, Chair, did at any point, because now you are bringing in the national government through the Department of Defense, did at any point Governor and maybe the county attorney engage with the Office of the Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya? I yield back, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, let's allow the county. Chair, to help the county attorney.
We need to allow the county to respond.
Yes,
we have done a lot of talking on our side.
To refer to our own document, this 16.2, it says that each party hereto has received independent legal advice regarding this agreement. What advice was rendered to the county executive of Nyandarua?
Okay, proceed, please.
Thank you, Chair. I will start with a question about the transfer of functions. The way we saw this agreement, it was not necessarily a transfer of function or service, but what we were getting from the national government was infrastructural support to enable us complete the project of the JM hospital. So it was not, we didn't see it as a transfer of function or service.
Was it conveyed in writing as a professional opinion?
It was oral advice was rendered.
Did the procurement, okay, there's another profession that is required to do a professional opinion. That's the procurement people.
Yes.
Did they do a professional opinion?
The director is here, she can.
Was there a professional opinion preceding? Well, that's her responsibility as a member of the legal profession. The other member of the procurement profession also has a duty to render a professional opinion before a contract is terminated. Was there a professional opinion preceding that termination? I thought someone introduced themselves as head of procurement.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The issue was not taken as a procurement issue and more of
termination of a contract. Termination of a contract. We have here termination of a contract. That is not a procurement issue. What was it? A political issue? Please, professionals. Are you a member of the Institute of Supply Chain Managers?
Yes, I am.
So you have a professional responsibility.
Yes, I do.
Just like the member of the Law Society of Kenya.
Yes.
She has disclosed she didn't render a professional opinion. It was done verbally, which cannot be confirmed. You had a responsibility to provide a professional opinion. Termination of over 1.5 billion contract. That is not a matter that requires the professional opinion of the head of procurement? Or Governor, you ran a one-man show. You are the one who was doing everything. You excluded them.
Chair, I started by saying that we asked for infrastructure support and it was declared. So the responsibility of procurement now went to the chair.
How is this counting though?
Honorable members, at this rate it appears we might not go beyond the gem, but it's important because it's going to lay a basis that will help us to deal with all these presidential declarations every other day.
But before you even conclude, you know, we are sitting as a very serious entity. And we should hold people accountable for the statements they make before us. The head of procurement cannot come here and tell us she was relying on You call it what? Political what?
No, I did not say that.
You know, they have stated themselves in 16.2 that the parties acknowledge and agree that they are not relying upon any representation or statement made by other parties. So you cannot tell us that you are relying on pronouncements made by the president when he visited Nyandarua.
Honorable members, I think they, from their body language, they are guilty as charged. So let's not flog them further.
But can I inform the committee chairman? Senator closes.
Just information.
The legal counsel.
I mean, they've owned up. So
that's okay.
Yes.
In situations like this, I've had us asking the professional bodies to check the standing of the officers. Do you want us to do that?
I have to protect the ladies.
You have to protect everyone. Chair, protect the people of Nyandarua, Chair. Protect the people of Nyandarua first.
Don't protect the ladies.
Chair, we will allow you, Chair, to protect the ladies, but please begin with protecting the people of Nyandarua.
No, it's okay. What I'm saying is we don't need to overemphasize when already it is glaring and obvious. So that we can make progress. Senator Methu, Senator Sifuna.
I think on this particular matter of the JM Kariuki Hospital, no explanation can suffice what is expected of the law in terms of the transfer of this service from the, actually the Constitution, from the county government to the Ministry of Defense. Since there were two projects, I'm just curious now to ask the governor, even though it does not appear here, is this the same arrangement that was made for the Orkrau Stadium? Because I also think it was also transferred to the Department of Defense.
Yes, and as advised, we will act on Article 187.
Okay, Senator Sifuna.
Chair, before you launch Operation Linda Warembo, you know this
order, Senator. Those are professionals. Those are professionals. They can't be seen from only that lens. Proceed.
I need to explain to the county government of Nyandarua why this issue is very important. If you had named this institution and after a local hero in Nyandarua, there would not be as much scrutiny as with the gentleman whom you chose to name after this hospital. Governor, you know that even the institution that I am still in charge of as SG has a very close relationship with that family called JM Kariuki's family. So you can expect scrutiny. And please, such a big name should not be muddled with scandal and controversy. Show respect to this national hero by doing things the right way, so that we avoid all this controversy. We would like to see, if you have taken the advice of this committee, let us see that agreement with the national government in the next few weeks. I think the chair should be able to pronounce themselves on these things. And we want transparency. We want transparency in the construction. Let that name not be soiled by failures with the procurement professionals and the legal team.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
Okay, members, we agreed on timelines. We agreed on them ourselves. So the facts have been laid bare. It is our duty to give recommendations and give guidance, and also to define how we are going to deal with the other issues that have not been addressed.
Yeah,
so,
30 seconds.
Senator Chirate.
What we are saying, Governor, it is not wrong to request either vis-a-vis. We have seen even counties that are doing national government functions. But what is not wrong to request for support either way from county or national government. But what we are requiring of you is to follow the law, to follow the due process of the law. That is what the committee is just saying in simple terms. But I don't know, Chair, after Senator Sifuna talks about Linda Warembo, I don't know whether we'll invoke the same punishment we normally do to professionals. I don't know, maybe you'll guide us on that. Because that's the standard procedure.
The rules are standard.
No. With all due respect, there's nothing like Linda Warembo here. These are professionals and they are here in their capacity. If things went wrong, they have gone wrong. They need to be corrected. But the statement of Linda Warembo here, these are not ladies on
The only thing we are doing is Linda Ground, not Warembo. Ground.
That was introduced by the chair. It is the chair who introduced it.
The chair who introduced
Don't lynch Sifuna for that. It's the chair who
It's my
introduced it.
vernacular. Chair, in my
Talk to him.
vernacular. in
Talk to
my
him. You
manners-
sit next to him.
No.
He's the one who introduced it.
No, Wambua.
Order,
In
members.
my vernacular,
Order.
Warembos mean those ladies on the streets.
No.
Yeah, I'm
My
just saying
vernacular means nothing. Something different.
No.
I think we will
Warembos, these are professionals. You
vernacular.
must respect them.
order, members.
Come on.
Order, members. Thankfully, I've been given the power now to switch off mics. So I'll switch off all the mics for the time being. Vice Chair, your last statement.
Yeah, Chair, because of this project, maybe as a committee we need to invite the AG to come and give advice, because there are so many projects through presidential edicts that are being taken over. So we need to know the framework of that working, so that if it is they are working at Article 187 or 189, we need to get to know, so that at least the money expended for the counties is safeguarded. We need to really maybe get some professional advice from the AG, so that money that is spent for the counties is not lost along the way.
Thank you, and I think you brought it to the right position. Even before we go to the AG, we've got a very competent legal team internally. I see Juma here. Some of our legal staff are now judges of the Court of Appeal. So we'll first do our internal advisory, so that we can distinguish between this thing of service and function. Whether there is anything in law called transfer of service.
Add Senator Metu is now a first-year law student.
Order, Senator Charake. Okay, I think let's go back, because our way forward needs to be clear and uninterrupted. There is nothing wrong with the national government expressing intent to assist a county government in achieving flagship projects. It has been done in many other counties. So let it not be reported that this Senate is recommending that you reject the help extended by the presidency or the help extended by the DOD. That should not be the position. It has happened in other counties. I think the people of Nyandarua will not take us seriously if we sit here and say that perhaps there should be termination or there should be some stay of this project that is associated with a name that we hold dear, as Senator Sifuna has said. The only thing that you must ensure happens is that the process is lawful and the entire operation is prudent, because those are the two things that we look at as a committee. This project was initiated in 2021, initially at a contract price of 1.46 billion. Along the way, you varied it upwards by 8.7% to 1.597 billion. It should have been delivered by 2024. We are in 2026 and it is still not delivered. So far, you have paid 615 billion, but it is not complete. If you want the help of the DOD or the national government, we must go back to the meaning of Article 187 and the provisions of the Intergovernmental Relations Act to ensure that that transfer is lawful. If, in your view, this is a service, because if you say it is a service, it's as if it's a procurement. I don't think you procured the national government. I don't think you procured the DOD. You transferred a function. So we will have our internal interpretation. Let your advocates go back and rethink. And I think your county attorney should go on record. Her advisory must be on record, so that we are holding her to account on what has been put down. We would like this project to be completed, because it is of value, it makes sense, but let it be completed lawfully and prudently. Honorable members, we had many, many other projects in this report. If we did not accept the governor's request at the beginning of this meeting, we would have gone on to look at the other projects and the other financial management issues in this report. But because we indicated that the governor had shown goodwill by coming, rather than staying away completely, we agreed that by 12, we'll take a view on how far we have gone. Even though we have dealt with just 3 issues, one of the issues relates to 50 to 80% of your total expenditure. That is pending bills. And I think if we can resolve that and resolve one of these flagship projects, it can provide some hope to the people of Nyandarua. However, there are instances of breach of law. There are instances of loss of funds. There are instances of misprudent application of public resources in this report. They cannot go unchallenged. They cannot go untested. Therefore, honorable members, I believe that between now and 30th of March, there is sufficient time for us to reinvite the governor of Nyandarua so that we deal with those residual matters. I think that's the only way we can allow the governor to exit so that he can catch up with the other obligations. Governor, I hope you have not changed your mind about the coffee meeting. It looks like you need the coffee. Fine. So in terms of closing remarks, I will ask the governor to make closing remarks, if any, and then we'll donate our time to Senator Methu so that we don't make it too long.
Honorable Chair, I want to thank you, in particular the senators and everyone, for understanding our predicament. I also want to really thank you for your input, issues to do with Article 187. I know we have so many other projects, like what Senator Medo have talked about, the stadium, which whereby the national government is also supporting us. So we are going to sit with my attorney and the procurement team so that we can clean up all those records as per your advice. So I want to assure this House that going forward, even in future, maybe it's also a precedent, maybe even to other areas, just as you have said, that we'll be able to be going through that. The other thing that really worried the senator so much was to do with the addition of 374 million. I know it's so dear to my senator and also all the other senators. I want to assure you that after the implementation of the current budget, we'll be able to report authoritatively what we have done with that extra money. We decided to put it as affirmative action so that the Senate and everyone who participated can achieve. Issues to do with pending bill, Chair, I want also to assure this House that when I took over, we've been having this incremental OSRs. We started at 460, we came to 505, 515. Last year we were at 653. And I can assure you this time we are even going higher. That is one way to tell the Senate that we are going to reduce the pending bills. It will not be at the rate at which it appears there. As we are growing OSL, we will concentrate more with the clearing of the pending bills. So that I want to assure that. Otherwise, I want to add by saying thank you very much, and we advise as you have advised.
Yeah, so as Senator Methu closes, for avoidance of doubt, this transaction, we are not saying you stop it, we are saying you regularize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, let it not be reported that Senate has asked the county government to stop the help coming from DOD. What we are saying is you need to regularize it.
Yes.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Chair, and I want to thank my colleagues for spending quite some time to look at the books of account of Nyandarua County. And I want to hold the words of the governor under oath, and it gives me some comfort that he said about that in the coming supplementary budget, we shall be able to get a view of the affirmative action money of 374 million. I think that gives comfort to all of us. That gives comfort to me because I know and I think this money will go a very long way in ensuring that we try and catch up with the others. That's why the other counties were donating some money to us, and it will even give us impetus. The members of the counties, small counties, we call ourselves the caucus of the small counties, the 12 senators who have a reason to go and tell the other senators that we still need this money even when the formula comes for one more time. Maybe finally, and I know I will run the risk of, I don't know how to say this, but maybe, and it is my position, Governor, that the Senate would not have any reason to stop the national government from supporting counties. I think, in my mind, maybe the reason why you are very, very quick to ensure that you transfer this completion of this block, the JM Kariuki block, and the Okrao Stadium from a presidential proclamation is because we have seen so much of the kind. And since none has commenced, maybe this one that looked like it can commence, you started it very quickly so that it does not get lost in the other many proclamations that have been made by President William Ruto in Nyandarua. Many of them have never started. If there is one that can start, let it start, but regularize it so that it is completed within the law. This is not little money. 988 million would have been a very huge burden on the county of Nyandarua. Maybe finally, having gotten these kind of reliefs, because you had budgeted 100 million for JM Kariuki Hospital, I imagine that you'd have budgeted another 100 million in the next financial year. Why don't you get this money and then still ensure that this money goes to the Department of Health so that we don't divert this money and use it for other purposes, and then it defeats the reason why the government was helping us, because they helped us because we don't have enough. Ensure that this money that was meant for this JM Kariuki Hospital, even if it does not go to JM Kariuki Hospital, it goes to the Department of Health, so that you can be able to make our medical services better. You can be able to ensure at least the people can feel that there is some burden that was on the county that has been taken by the national government, and they can actually see and get better services. Maybe finally, Chair, I'll be very excited to have the governor appear before us again to look at the issues on our own source revenue, because I would want to see how it has grown. I now know we have a new system, how it is working better than the system that we had, how it is growing, because, you know, Governor, even as we push money from the equitable share, you have to also push from your side. It can't be that when you joined the equitable share was 5.6 billion, it has now grown to 6.5 billion, but the own source revenue is growing within very marginal rates. It must commensurate. And you must also share among it yourselves, Chair. It can't be that one county is reporting that they have grown their own source revenue with 500 million, and another county is growing at 300 or 30 million. There must be something very wrong with these counties that are growing their own source revenue within marginal rates. I want to stop there. As you can actually see, Chair, I'm actually a very good man. I'm actually a very, very good man. I'm a very well.
There was no doubt.
There was, there are some people who actually accuse me of being cantankerous. I only want a good country. Just the same way I'm speaking about Nyandarua is the same way I would want a good country, and those are the things that I say on top of the cars. It's only that sometimes I use a language that is not very friendly to Senator Kiarie, but it's the same thing that I'm saying.
I am happy that today you didn't point at the governor. Kiarie Badilisha. Kiarie Badilisha. I think just to tie it up, the senator has said something. I think it's something you need to reflect on, Governor. We don't need to respond to it. You will deal with it when you come back. Now that the national government has taken the burden away from you on JM Kariuki and the stadium, what are you telling the people of Nyandarua that the money that you would have used on the stadium and on JM Kariuki, where else are you putting it? Is it going into mandazis? Or is it going into payment of pending bills? Or is it going into alternative flagship projects? If we had time, we would have interrogated that. But when you come back before us, please have that question in mind so that we can provide that assurance that the burden has been lifted, but the Senate still sends the money, and so you are putting the money in another sector to improve lives and livelihoods. I hope in our next meeting, which shall be by invitation, not by summons, because you seem to have fairly good manners. You come when invited. So at our next meeting, which should be by invitation, I hope you can address us on that.
Though if you allow, in a half a minute.
Well, I'll allow because you are the one who was pressed for time.
Yeah, particularly on this one, I want to agree with Senator Medo. You know, in Nyandarua, at this age, we only have 2 level 4 hospitals. That is JM and Engineer. Actually, the reason why we are really pushing this one to be completed in good time, it will be our first level 5 hospital. What we have done, we have given money to 4 other hospitals, health centers, to uplift them to level 4s. That is Babu, Manunga, Daragwa, and Chamuka. So, in fact, it captures the inspiration of my senator that we want also now to upgrade other...
Governor, those ones you mentioned are in this report, and they're reported as told. So, come better prepared next time. We adjourn, the meeting is adjourned. We'll communicate the date.